like to call Dr. Kathleen White, Chair of the Maryland Commission for Women.
In 1965, the Maryland Commission for Women was first established and was set in the state law in 1971. An office within the Department of Human Resources, the Commission is a 25-member advisory board whose duties outlined in its enabling legislation, which include the study of the status of women in our state, women's accomplishments, their contributions, as well as providing the public to be informed in reference to those issues that impact women. Commissioners are appointed to a 4-year term by the governor, with confirmation by the Maryland State Senate, and serve without compensation. And at this time, I would like to introduce the wonderful commissioners who work relentlessly to improve the status of women in Maryland. I, of course, serve as chair, but I have Lee Bachu, who serves as vice chair, Ashley Williams, our secretary, and of course we have our wonderful commissioners. And tonight we are so very, very honored to have our 30th year. Can you believe that? Wow. Isn't that phenomenal? So at this time I'm going to turn my information now over to Jamie again.
Thank you, Dr. White. Our next honoree is Mary Fiek, nominated by Maryland State Delegate Sally Jamison. Aviation engineer Mary Fiek first realized her interest and talent for engineering and machinery when at the age of 13, she overhauled her father's automobile engine. That was in 1937. By the age of 18, she had turned to aircraft engines. Discouraged from studying engineering by a college registrar who told her, "We don't take women," Mary Fiek nonetheless earned the distinction of being the first woman engineer in research and development in the Air Technical Service Command's engineering division at Wright Field. She was a B-29 flight engineer and wrote aviation-related reports in engineering and physical sciences that were used throughout the armed forces. She has flown more than 6,000 hours as a pilot in fighter, attack, bomber, cargo, and training aircraft. And she still both restores and teaches restoration of antique and classic aircraft. Ms. Fiek is the recipient of many prestigious awards, including the Distinguished Service Medal and the Catherine Wright Award. That's from the National Aeronautics Association. Her portrait hangs in the First Flight Shrine at the Wright Brothers National Memorial. A pioneer before anyone was using that term for women in engineering. Mary Fiek is most deserving of induction into the Maryland Women's Hall of Fame. Ms. Fiek, we are so honored that you could join us here today. Would you please like to say a few words?
I am extremely honored to be here, but in my particular career, I worked for 20 years only with men. The sergeants and the airmen. I could do what they could do. We shared everything, and I treated them with extreme politeness, and I got everything back from them. But I must confess, the one thing that always lifted my heart every time I flew a military airplane and I did the pre-flight inspection, I would turn to my sergeant and say, this airplane was built by the Rosies. Those ladies had the first time in their lives they could get out and do something for the work effort. In fact, I just went to a small gathering over at Kent Island, and I took one of the posters that I managed to get from the archives in Washington, and it shows the Rosie drilling a piece of metal, and it said, "Do the job he left behind." And they really did the job magnificently. I credit them for a lot of times when I was very, very shaky as to whether I was going to get an airplane down on a test flight. And I said, the Rosies are going to get me there, and they did. So, at the moment after I retired from research and development, because I was not only in charge of flight training, and I wrote all the flight training manuals, and at that time, every time I finished one, I would stop and look in the sky and thank Mrs. Heffernan. She was my English teacher in high school, and she taught me how to write. Basis alone, you know, I had a lot of confidence, but my big problem was I went through high school in 3 years instead of 4, took all of the exams, had a 4.0 average, went to the university all excited, and said, I want you enlist in your engineering course. And the registrar looked at me and he kind of scowled and he said, I'm sorry, we don't take women, you can't handle the work, and walked away. And I'm looking at some of the women today and I thought, I hope this man is rotting. Girls are really showing up what they can. So in that respect, I feel very honored because I had a wonderful career. In fact, a lot of times, particularly one time I could fly the B-29, I walked in the office and John looked at me and he said, Mary, no morning coffee. And he says, you're going to fly a B-29 to 57,000 feet for high altitude feathering tests, and it's going to be 12 hours. And I was the pilot. So, you know, these little things I have memories of, and all I can say is that my sergeants were wonderful, and I now try to do what I can in Civil Air Patrol, and if you all please won't laugh, I am a colonel. And I sort of got that by the back door. I got that as an honor with Scott Crossfield, the man who flew twice the speed of sound. The two of us got it at the same time, went from senior members to full colonels. And Scotty said, Mary, I want you to salute me. And I did. He said, oh, that's terrible. Don't do it again. But the cadets of Civil Air Patrol taught me how to salute. So I'm very grateful because I do travel all over the country, aerospace education, cadet programs. To me, I am trying to feel that by working with or being with the wonderful the little cadet, they're not even seniors yet, but the point is they keep my batteries charged, they pick my brain. In fact, one time I sat with 4 youngsters waiting for our airplane to be fueled, And I asked them what their aim was for a career. And one young man said, because he'd been writing little things, and I said, what are you going to be? He said, I'm going to be an international lawyer, like my uncle. Then there was another little youngster, all agitated, and I said, what are you going to be? And he got all huffy. He said, I'm going to be a paleontologist, and he proceeded to spell it for me. So you just never know, but I do a lot of counseling, and I spend a lot of time with cadets, and I am very honored to have an achievement award named for me in Civil Air Patrol. And the only other lady is Amelia Earhart. The ribbon that I'm wearing, this is a Mary Fiek Achievement ribbon. And what I have been asked to do, I had one young man, when I gave him the ribbon and gave him the certificate, he said, ma'am, what do the colors mean? And so my certificate that General Bowling gave to me tells how the historian picked the colors based on my background. So I have given almost 12,000 of these certificates for all the youngsters that have earned it. And one little phrase that I put on there was a phrase that my father said to me when I left home: aim high and follow your dreams. And I want that to be so. But I have to put this microphone down because I'm always accused of haggard mind. And never know when to shut my mouth. So what I'm going to do right now is close the hangar door and say thank you so much for everything that you have offered me in this honor. Thank you.
Come on, move out of the way.
And we thank each of you for coming out tonight. We hope that this event has been one in which you have enjoyed. We have enjoyed having your presence and your company here as we help to celebrate the 30th year of celebrating, honoring women and inducting them into the Maryland Women Hall of Fame, as we are sponsored by the Maryland Commission for Women. Thank you.
Just fine. I'm Kate Stevenson from the Maryland Women's Heritage Center and from Top of the Morning from Baltimore.
Wonderful.
We are so thrilled and we want to congratulate you for this award, and tell us how you were feeling with your grandchildren and children seeing what you've accomplished.
Well, I'm thrilled about that because it's really important for them to know of the courage of the women at Seneca Falls. It's the birthplace of women's rights, and I think they would take great pride in learning more about it. I am myself personally thrilled to be getting this award. I thank Beth and Beverly, co-presidents of the Hall of Fame, for this wonderful honor, and I'm pleased to be joining so many wonderful other inductees today. That's really making it even more thrilling. But as far as Maryland is concerned, that's where I was born and raised, and one of our colleagues from Maryland will be here, Congresswoman Donna Edwards. She'll be coming up when Congress has adjourned, and they're on their way. We thought there might be more activity, but
We want to invite you to the Maryland Women's Heritage Center when you get back to Maryland.
Thank you for the invitation. Anytime. I'd love to do that. That's easy from D.C. Thank you for
Well,
being
much
here.
love from Maryland and
Thank
Baltimore.
you. Thank you. Appreciate
Well,
you
we're
being
so glad you're all here this morning, and so we thank you for coming, and we're delighted to have the leader as one of our inductees this year. So
Hi, Jill and Linda. We're sorry you couldn't be here. We're thinking of you.
Welcome to the 30th year induction ceremony for the Women Hall of Fame, sponsored by the Maryland Commission for Women. And today we have with us one of our honorable inductees, Dr. Fiek. And Dr. Fiek, I would like for you to tell us about yourself.
Well, I had an interesting beginning. I went to high school in 3 years instead of 4 with a 4.0 average, and I got excited. I wanted to go to college, go to engineering school. And the registrar came over and he looked at me and he said, "Oh, I'm sorry, we don't take women," and walked away. So I worked with my father in his automobile repair shop, and when I was 7 years old, and 11 years old, I did all of his welding, and when I was 13 years old, I overhauled my first V8 automobile engine. Took it to the car, overhauled it, put it back. And so I had that, so my father said, all right, so he got a job for me as a federal employee teaching aircraft maintenance. And eventually, I went from one of the small bases here in North Carolina to Wright Field, which is a research and development part of the U.S. Army Air Corps. Yeah. And I flew my first P-51 when I was 18 years old. And because of my background in engineering, I was in charge of flight training and maintenance training. And I have 9,000 hours as a test pilot because I had to write all of the flight training manuals, all the airplanes that we bought for the military. Wow. So basically, I've been a member even as a teenager, but I worked for 20 years only with men, and that's the sergeants and the airmen. Mm-hmm. And I treated them with a lot of respect, and I got every bit of it back.
Oh, that's fantastic.
So, even though I was the engineer and I was the one who was deciding what had to be done, my guys were wonderful. I never had any trouble.
We are so honored. I am so honored to be sitting here next to you as we are engaged in the process of inducting you into the Maryland Women's Hall of Fame. What does this award and recognition mean to you?
Well, it means a little bit for when I get out and talk to ladies, and especially my cadets. I'm a colonel in Civil Air Patrol, and obviously I'm retired from, because this is a volunteer thing. And I do career counseling for cadets. I'm sort of the one person they can come and talk with. And believe me, sometimes we talk for hours at end because the youngsters are very, very sharp. I've never had, since 1971 when I was able to join Civil Air Patrol, I've never had a cadet ask me a stupid question, not even once.
Wow, that's really good news to hear too.
I am anxious to see that when I joined Civil Air Patrol in our squadron at Edgewater Lee Airport, we had one girl. Last year, 2 girls went into the Military Academy Air Force. This year, 2 more. And the cadet colonel is a girl, and she tells everybody what to do. Now that is really wonderful.
That is really good news to hear, because now we're starting to see that with you laying the groundwork for that women are now able to embrace and come into that line of service. What do you think are some significant changes for women in today's generation, and what obstacles do you think that they encounter?
Well, I have a little trouble with obstacles because basically I didn't have any. Mm-hmm. There was a lady that took over all of personnel, and she heard about me because I was the only female doing this. And I was in charge.
Yes.
And she thought maybe I was one of these pinup girls. And she followed me for 6 weeks, wrote all down everything, made copies of all of my manuals and, all the things that I had to do. And she sent a 50-pound pack of my credentials to Washington. 6 weeks later, they came back, and I have an aeronautical engineer's degree, based on demonstrated ability, and my salary went up 8 times.
Wow. That
She
is
was the one that
great.
decided she was going to get it for me.
Okay.
And I was not a pinup girl. I was somebody.
That could probably be one of the high points in your career.
Oh, absolutely.
What would be your message to some of the young people of today? And so what would the message be if you had to leave a message to them?
Well, the first thing that my father said to me when I left home, and I never went back to live in this old mill town he said, aim high and follow your dreams. And what it says there is that if you have a decision about what you want to do, and you have parental influence or family influences that says, no, you've got to do something else, you don't do that. You follow your own idea. Because I have a sister, and when I left home, she never has talked to me since 1942. She said, I abandoned the family. Well, my father got to work for me. But you see, had I listened to her, I would still be living in Tonawanda, New York, near the Erie Canal and the river. So,
Yes.
you know, this is awfully hard. I do a lot of career counseling with youngsters that have problems with families. And the father wants the boys to do this, and women want the girls to do that, and they want to do something else.
Yes.
So trying to do what you want to do and do it with the idea that you're not going to lose your family is the most difficult thing that you're going to have. You know?
Okay. Do you have any last thoughts?
Mostly for the women today.
Okay.
It's very hard, and they can get involved with anything they want to, and just keeping their eye on their goal. And if they decide to do something different, it has to be their decision.
Yes.
That's the very important part of it. But when I think about the Rosie the Riveters, and every time those gals built an airplane and I flew it, when I checked it for pre-flight, and I'd say to my sergeant, this airplane was built by a Rosie. I could tell. So women could do it.
Oh, well, thank you so much, Dr. Fiek. It has been an honor to sit here with you as we shared some of these wonderful times together and the opportunity to share all the great information that you have, and looking forward to women, and also being honored at the Maryland Women Hall of Fame for the Maryland Commission for Women. Thank you.
I'm going to see the president tomorrow. Unfortunately, the vote, so I have to run. What about Ella? What, darling? Oh, well, I have to keep fighting. That's a big thing. It's a huge thing. And I told my mother, who's never had a
we're back. You're going to hear an air conditioner in the background, but I'm here with Joan Wages, who is the president of the National Women's History Museum, the place that we're at right now where the event took place. Joan, pretty wonderful and momentous event. Please tell us a little bit about the museum as well as why this event is important.
Well, the National Women's History Museum is working with Congress to identify a site on or next to the National Mall, and we are working to preserve women's history because there is not a women's history museum in any nation's capital in the world. So it's very unbelievable that women today still don't have a museum that recognizes their history. And the importance of today is to recognize someone like Nancy Pelosi, who spent 25 years of her life in working on issues that impact women or are about women, and that she has broken down so many barriers herself on behalf of women.
Joan, this National Women's Museum on the Mall, how far along is it? Is there a site actually identified yet?
We are working with Congress to create a commission that would identify the site for us.
So that's the first start.
Yes,
that's the first start.
Yeah. We've had some bills introduced, but now we've decided that this is the best way to go.
Well, I hope yours goes more quickly than the World War II.
Yeah, I know.
That was only built a couple of years ago. World War II was 50 years ago. So
but they didn't start right after.
Well, okay, all right. But so we're hopefully first step is getting the commission started.
Exactly.
All right, and the existing location we're at now.
Yes, so
it has a wonderful history.
It does. This was the home of the National Women's Party. The National Women's Party, of course, lobbied Congress and raised awareness to get the vote for women. So this is an extraordinary house and represents many good and wonderful things for women.